that's why we do HIIT and stuff. So we're going to start with a HIIT, and I'm going to turn that down a bit. Too loud. Start with a HIIT to warm us up, and then we'll go back to the very beginning, which is about the posture, and then we're going to do the HIIT abs that we did the last 2 weeks. We're still only doing 20 seconds work, 10 seconds rest, because we've got new people. Next week, I'm warning you, 30 seconds work, 10 seconds rest, okay? But you can practice as many times as you like, because I'll send you the link. Okay, so a squat. Anybody else got any injuries to declare that I don't know about? So a squat could be this, because you're switching everything on. There could be your squat. However, a lot of you will be going to here. What you can't do is have all these knees forward. That will really hurt them. And you just, this is a bowing forward. It's not a squat. You're now using your back. A squat is where you stick your bum out and back. Engage your core. Hi, Lindsay. Engage your core. If you want to burn more calories, you want to fling your arms into it, but you don't have to. It's your call. So flinging your arms in is using more calories, going quick, because the idea is to warm up. If you get a bit tired doing that, the second set you could do here, as long as your knees go out over your toes. And you can go as low as you like, bring your arms in, anything. I'll keep swapping so you can choose as well. Okay, timer. Oh, hello Ollie, I just saw you arrive. Did you run again? Oh, hi Georgia. Didn't even see you. Are we all happy with that idea of 20 seconds work, 10 seconds rest, times 8? Most of us have done it loads of times. And if I put that somewhere there, you can see it, but I can't. But you'll hear it. Okay. So we've got 9 seconds to prepare. You'll hear the beep. I'll stay off the mat. Off we go. So I'm going here. Keep breathing, keep the core engaged, necks lengthened, shoulders away from the ears. Just watching you, Dave, so you don't overdo it. Rest. It's easy at the moment. Just a bit of this. You might want to change now. What this is doing is working the inner thighs as well, so it's just giving some of the muscles a bit of a break. Keep the heels on the floor. If the heels are coming off the floor, you're going too far for your flexibility. Imagine you've got a crab on the end of your toe. Kick it off. I'm going back to here, and my knees are tracking my toes. Toes, heels stay on the floor. Three down. A gorgeous evening. I'm going wide again. In fact, I'm going very wide this time. So again, as long as my knees go out over my toes. Halfway. Pub after. Knees together. You're keeping your heels on the floor and you push out of your heels. And try not to lean forward and bow forward, because what you're doing then is working your back, not your legs. Yay. Only 3 to go. 1 minute work. I'm going very wide, which is called a sumo squat. Knees are going out. Back still upright if you look from the side. So I'm not leaning forward at all. Superb. I need 2 more. You choose. I didn't say hello to Simon. Hi. Nicely silhouetted over there. Brilliant. 20 seconds and then you get the rest. I need to blow my nose. So I'm going mid-wide. Lovely. Brilliant. Well done. That's it. That's to warm us up. I'm nice and hot now. I need to blow my nose. Have a drink if you need one. Oh, sorry. Oops. Oops. Right. Back to the very beginning, because Pilates is all about posture, which will help with all your aches and pains. Posture. Feet together. Turn your toes out at 10 to 2. Lift your heels behind. If you look at anybody, you'll see that their hips, knees and ankles are all in a line now, which is just what Mother Nature wanted. Sometimes your feet slide out. I'll keep nagging. Bring them back together. Your hips aren't that wide. She wasn't. Okay, now you want the neck lengthened. Imagine you have a cord here, and so watch my neck if you want. Just watch how it lengthens and my shoulders drop away. Now I want to take my shoulders up, back and down, which is a bit tricky to hold. Shake it off a little bit, and that's your correct posture. And if you notice, from there, when I've got this roll of fat here, by taking my shoulders down and back, I lose a bit of it. So I look slimmer already. Neutral spine is vital. Put your hands on your hips and basically stick your bum out without any of this moving. So it's just a back move. Now pelvic tilt. And make that rocking motion as big as you can. It's really good for your spine. And anytime your back's aching, this is good for you. Now make it smaller and smaller till you're just rocking in the middle, and that will be your neutral spine. You'll still have a bit of an arch, bit of a lump, bit of an arch, but it's your neutral spine where all your vertebrae stacked neatly. Now we want to breathe. The new people, just breathe. You guys know you've got to breathe through your ribs. Pelvic floor lifted. Guys, you have one as well. Cough and lift it up inside. Anybody who needs extra tuition on that, email me privately. And then the core is vital. We need this strong core. This is your core, the powerhouse of the body. It's all these side muscles, all these front muscles, the deep ones, and all the muscles going up and down your spine. But if you imagine somebody with a weightlifter's belt on, or a lady's a corset, or guy's a corset, imagine it's being pulled really, really tight. Look how much you can shrink. You couldn't hold it here without the corset, so relax it off halfway, and then a little bit more and leave it there. Another good one is if you put your hand on your tummy under your belly button and cough, and as you cough, just bring it in instead of out. And that's your core braced. So it's called bracing your core, belly button to spine, engaging your abs. All those things are the same thing. So now try coughing and bringing the abs in and the pelvic floor up. And if you can do that, we're good to go. So now we mobilise everything. And mobilising isn't about being a gymnast, it's about moving every joint in every direction so you're ready to then do the class. And these are the things you should actually do before you go to the gym, go for a run, anybody, all those things. Start at the top in our perfect setup position, inhale, and exhale, turning the head. Nothing else moves. No shoulder movement, no back movement, and then bring it back on the inhale. And off to the other side. So try not to tip your head back at all. It's as though you're sliding your chin on a shelf so it doesn't go back or forward. And keep that movement going up to, not into pain. Legs shouldn't be moving, hips shouldn't be moving. Brilliant. Make sure you do a matching pair because we all have a slightly different breath rate. Now we want to lift up to the sky, chin to the sky, nothing else moves. And back down and chin to chest. And back up to the sky. Brilliant, lovely. Again, if your neck's aching or your shoulders are aching, this might be the one for you. And now we're going to draw a circle with our nose. Now remember, we go up to, not into pain. So everything I ask you to do, you do a small range of movement first. Check there's nothing hurting. Nothing hurting, go as big as you like. So if you feel it creaking, creaking's okay. Don't be alarmed. And then change direction. Small range of movement. And then as big as you like. Lovely. Let's move down to the shoulders. If you imagine you have a pencil here and a pencil here, and do a small range of movement, drawing a small circle with that pencil. And then, as long as that doesn't hurt, and again, no movement in the spine or the neck, it's just the shoulders. And go as big as you can. And change direction. Again, if you've got neck ache or shoulder ache, this might alleviate it. If you've been sat still in the same position for too long, this is good for you. Brilliant. Now we're going to bring the whole arm in. We're going to do two together. Arms out, engaged, as in all switched on, so nothing limp. All switched on to the end of fingertips. Small circle. Shoulders don't creep up, they stay down and back. And then as long as that doesn't hurt, you can go bigger. And if that doesn't hurt, even bigger. If one shoulder's hurting, you could go bigger with one and smaller with the other. And the deep breathing in and the deep breathing out is really good for calming the nerves, slowing the heart rate down. And if anybody wants to look at the sunset, they're very welcome. But I think that's rather pretty. And change direction. Small first. And then as big as you like. And then we're going to go out to the side. Now, this is proprioception, knowing where your body bits are. I want everything shoulder height. So we bring it in and we pull back shoulder height. And then we take a long sweep shoulder height. Not here, but here. And both level, not here. And this is really stretching these. So if you happen to have done loads of press-ups or anything like that, and this is aching, this is the best one. I'm loving the gloves. And then we're going to go diagonal. If any time you've had enough of a particular exercise, just stop and shake anything off. Brilliant. We move down the body now, hands on your hips. Make sure your feet, you don't feel like you're going to fall over. And again, if you had a bad back, you would do this very, very gently. I know some of you have got bad back, so I expect to see different things going on around the field. But if you haven't got a bad back, I've still got my neck lengthened up here. My hips are still facing the front all the time, but I'm going quite large now. And now I'm going to change direction, but I won't go big, I'll go back to small. Check nothing's hurting. This is brilliant, all these people. Thank you for coming. I mean, isn't it lovely? So all through the summer I was doing it outside in my garden, but of course I couldn't have any of you here with me. All right, so those of you that don't have back issues can now try taking the top end around the bottom. So my hips aren't moving, but all this weighs a ton, and it's all going around the top. And you would never even do this if you had any kind of back pain. And you can go as big as you like, as long as it doesn't hurt. So if you can, you can go all the way down here, but only if it doesn't hurt. And then we change direction, of course. Do a small one first. So we've already warmed all the legs up, but we want to work the hips a bit more first. So to work the hips, and this is your first balance, but it won't be 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Stick one foot out in front of you. It's going to be difficult on the grass. Stick one foot out in front. When you've got your balance, draw a semicircle on your mat, and then come all the way back. And now try lifting your toe just an inch off the floor, or a centimetre. So we don't want to lift the hip, we need to keep the hips level so that we're opening up the hips, ready for some of these exercises. And if this is really easy, even on this grass, you could try here, which isn't easy. You need to keep the legs straight, because if you bend the leg, you're actually working the knee more than the hip. So keep the legs straight, and then by the time you get around here, you're squeezing your bum. Brilliant. Same on the other leg. Get your balance before you try and move. Because if you're trying to balance on a moving body, it's way, way too difficult. Wonderful. And now we're going to swing the leg forward and backwards. So we don't go all the way up here, but bend the standing leg. We have the standing leg straight but not locked, just unlocked, and swing. So it's your swing. And this is pointy toe, this is flexed. If you flex the foot, you're getting a nice stretch down the back of the hamstring, something you runners probably never do, but always wish you did. Tight hamstrings are a killer. Okay, same the other side. Superb. What we're going to do now is the calves. So put your feet together. Imagine you're skiing. Mind the knees. And now just to the front. So we're just stretching now the calf muscles and the ankle muscle, because this is what restricts you, is the flexibility here and in the calf muscles. And then up onto your toes and heels up. And toes up and heels up. And now we're going to move on to the actual exercises, and we're going to do the press up, but the mobility press up, which I will do a very quick version. We're starting here in your perfect setup position. Drop your chin to your chest, take your head down, arms dangling. At some point you might need to bend your legs, so you could bend your legs going out. Now I know loads of you can't do it with your knees off the floor. Hands wide, no dipping of the head. And you just take your chest down slowly to the line in between your thumbs, back up, rebuild all the way up, which is flexibility for the spine as well as everything else. So I'll talk you through the first one. Inhale. Exhale, start to curl down, curl down, curl down. Bend your knees when you need to. Walk the hands out in front of you. Knees to the floor. Exhale down. And inhale back up. Bringing the hands back. And back up to standing. And that's the speed you want to do it. You can now choose your press up, whether you have your knees on the floor, whether you don't. And whether you do 2 press-ups down there, 3 press-ups, or 1. So now you'll be doing it at different timings. So off you go. Lovely. If your knees are hurting when you're doing the press-up part, lift your toes as high as you can, and that will take the pressure off the bony bit onto a fleshy bit. You can have your hands a bit wider, Maddie. That's great. So, if anybody can get down but not up, there's a halfway house. Let me have a look. I will quickly show you halfway house if anybody wants it. That's when you can go down with your knees off the floor, as long as your back's not dipping. And then, I can't get back up. Leave the knees down and push the shoulders up. And then come back. There's your halfway house. Very strengthening. If you practice that, you'll be able to do a press up quite quickly. So make sure it's your chest going to that imaginary line in between your hands, not your nose. Nice slow press ups. Remember, we exhale for 4 down, inhale for 4 up. Lovely. I'm seeing some really good flexibility in the hamstrings. Superb. Keep going. When you need to rest, here is the antidote stretch. It's called child pose, extended child pose. You can rest there and then come back into it, because some of these people have been coming for years and they're really good at this. Where you're bracing your core when you're doing your press ups, squeezing your bum. Need everything helping you. When you've done what you think is going to be your last one, stay down on the floor in child pose. When we're all in child pose, we'll start the next one. Everybody feel okay? Brilliant. Lovely job. So the next couple of exercises are all done on our knees. If anybody's got painful knees, you can just fold your mat a little bit like this for a bit of extra padding. It's up to you. So a lot of you know this as Superman. It's in the 4-point kneeling position. So my wrists are directly under my shoulders, and my knees are directly under my hips, and my neck is lengthened. Core engaged. So in other words, we're not here, we're here. We'll have a practice. Let's do a cat pose. Squeezing your spine up to the sky, stretching the shoulders. Now come back and find that neutral spine. And then do a cat-cow stretch where you still have your core engaged, you are taking it down to the floor and you can look up. So anytime you want to during this exercise, you can do cat, cow, but now we're going to do Superman. Let's practice first by just sweeping one arm as high as you can up to the ear and back down. Other arm as high as you can, up to your ear and back down. Now we're going to take one leg. We're going to slide the toe along the floor and lift the leg, but not the hip. So we're keeping the hips flat, and then bring it back in, and then sliding the other one out. Now a lot of people like that, called round the world. Keep doing that. If anybody wants to progress it, you take the one arm and the opposite leg, and then you bring them back, and then you swap. Or if you want to progress it even more, you stay on the same side, one arm, one leg, crunch in the middle, one arm, one leg. Say do 5 on that side, nice and slow, not using momentum, because that's cheating. And just make sure the leg you're kneeling on is upright, not sticking your hip out to the side, because that will work out quite painful. Looking down at the floor in front of you. Brilliant. And if anybody wants to make it a bit harder again, you can even stay up here, pulse. Now pulsing isn't this, pulsing is controlled lift and lower. And then come back into it. So everybody should be doing something different. You do your own exercise. Looking good. So remember to change sides if you're doing one side then the other. So do we have to bring little citron candles next week for the midges? So I'm seeing a few toes pointing out to the side, which means you're opening your hips. If you point your toe down to the floor, it means you're keeping your hips in that static, stable position. So you're using your back, not your hips, to do the work. Jilly, you're going like this. And rest in child pose again when you need to. Lovely. Well done. Okay, and easing down into child pose. If you can even up so you've done the same amount on both sides and don't go home wonky. And the next one, we'll call it the fire hydrant. So this again is about the hips. We're in a nice box position. And if you take the weight off one knee, so you might not see any movement, but I'm just lifting one knee a fraction off the floor. Imagine you're trying to push that knee to the floor but out. So in other words, we're not tipping the leg over to lift the knee. We are leaving the knee where it is and lifting the knee. And we're doing it in super slow time. So exhale to lift, Inhale to come back. You don't have to replace it on the floor if you want to keep the work going, because you could say do 5 on one side and 5 on the other. Or if you want to rest in between, you do one side, then the other, then the other, then the other. So your knee stays in that same locked 90-degree position. You try and imagine you're trying to push the knee down to the floor and out. That's the kind of feeling you should be getting. So it's perfectly out to the side and in. Out to the side and in. And my hips aren't lifting at all. And it's child pose again when you need to rest. However, we'll do wide leg child pose when you need to, and that's with your feet together but your knees wide. Same child pose at the upper end. It's called the fire hydrant because it's like a dog cocking its leg off a lamppost, in case you hadn't twigged. Okay, if you want to even it up and then go into a nice child pose, wide leg. And that's what that's doing, is stretching the inner thighs that you've just been using. Lovely. So the next exercise is the side one. So I'll show you from the end on, because the main thing about anything on your side is you don't need any kink. You don't need your bum stuck out at all. You always need your bum in so your hips are in line. So I'm going to start here with 3 points on the floor, which is the foot, the knee and the wrist. And then make sure you straighten yourself. So we are sweeping over and back. And this is your basic move. I think most of you might want to lift the knee off the floor. I don't know, it's up to you. So this is what you're building up to. Or you could be going to here or here. So you choose. Do this one first because it's a mini one. So I've got my knee on the floor, foot on the floor in line, wrist in line, in my side plank, sweeping over the head, not forward, and then back down. So it's the arm movement, so it's shoulder mobility. Now you can have a think about where you want to progress. Do you want to lift there, or do you want to take your feet out? You choose. So it's shoulder mobility, massive wrist exercise, massive shoulder exercise, bum squeezed, core engaged, legs working like Billy-O. I think most people's wrists cave before anything else. So if you want to stop and snake your wrists, get them back to life. Killer. I know it's killer move, isn't it? Lots of things happening. And move on to the other side. So again in a straight line. So we need strong wrists. I know it's kind of a bit painful sometimes, but you stop before you get into pain. Do a mini one first. Nice and easy, nice side stretch. And then when you're ready, you go to upgrade if you want to or not. It's always up to you. you start shaking, your arms start shaking, you need to put your knee on the floor. Brilliant. Bum tight, core engaged. Be pleased to know the next one is on your back. Okay, I've had enough of that. Desperately now I just need to bring my wrists back to life. And the other way. And flick them. Okay, we're going to do a shoulder bridge series. So I will show you a basic shoulder bridge, first of all. Okay, feet are hip distance apart, knees are hip distance apart. Lying down on my back. My neck's lengthened, arms down by my side. I inhale and pelvic tilt. Remember we did that when we were standing up. It's the opposite of sticking your bum out. Pelvic tilt, and then peel your back off the floor one vertebrae at a time until you're in a nice ski slope position, which isn't here, it's here. And then we'll do lots of different things once we're there, but let's all practice the basic shoulder bridge first. We roll down, rolling up. So make sure your feet are hip distance apart, knees are hip distance apart, because you haven't done this exercise tonight, so we're doing a basic one first. Now, there's loads of things you can do. So we're going to do quite a few of them. So the first one we're going to do is shoulder mobility, because you've just been using that shoulder in your side plank. So we're going to do that particular shoulder bridge, and when we're up there, we're going to stay up there, and then bring the arms up and over the head, so that we're getting good shoulder mobility. And you can stay up there for 1, 2, 3, whatever you like. Looking good. Now then, if you want to make that more difficult for yourself, you don't have to, but you could put your feet together. But if your feet are together, your knees have to be together as well, otherwise it's cheating. So you could have your feet together and your knees together up into your bridge, bringing the arm mobility in. So if your feet are together, your knees have to be together, which is a mega workout for your inner thighs, and they might shake a bit, but suck it up. And when you feel you need a bit of a breather, come down and hug your knees into your chest and roll around on your spine. And then we will, after everybody's done that, we will move on to another one. So that's doing lots of things. It's working your core, your bum, your hamstrings, your calves, and shoulder mobility, and your back. Okay, if you finish that one off, hug one knee into your chest, then the other knee into your chest. The time you might hurt your back when you're exercising is when you suddenly lift both legs off the floor and bring them in. So one at a time. Roll your ankles around, other way as well. Right, so those of you who found that quite taxing, I want you to try again. Same again, but more. And for anybody who wants to upgrade, we're going to take our feet back to hip distance apart. And knees hip distance apart. We're going to go up into our bridge. I'll talk you through it. One leg to tabletop, heel to ceiling. We're going to lower the leg so it's parallel with the top leg. Back up and down. So it's a slow movement, and I'll talk you through it. So inhale, pelvic tilt, and lift up to bridge. When you're in bridge, now inhale and bring the knee to tabletop. And then take it straight to the ceiling, the sky even, and then bring the straight leg all the way down without letting the hips drop. That's the hard bit. Now take it back up to the sky. Now tabletop. And now bring it down to the floor. And then change legs. Or not, if you want to work 5 on one side and 5 on the other. I normally do 10 on one side, 10 on the other, and then flop. If you are lowering your leg straight, it's best to have your flexed foot, and then you're getting a stretch down that hamstring. Perfect. Lovely job. Nice and slow. So when you've done 10, which may be 10 on alternating, or 5 and then 5, hug one knee to the chest, then the other. So the hard bit, some of you are letting your bums drop as you're lifting your foot off the floor, and I think that might be because it's a bit difficult. So go back to ordinary bridge. Keeping that bum high when you lower the leg. But you're looking very good. Okie dokie. Oh, what's going on here? Hug one knee into the chest and then the other knee into the chest, and then we're going to do the abs HIIT timing, which I will, because we've got new people here, I will briefly go through the exercises. They're the same as the exercises we've done the last 2 weeks. And the idea being you know them well now and you'll do them with precision. The first one is you can hardly see any movement. I'm lying on my floor with my feet up to knees up as though I was doing shoulder bridge, and I'm doing that tilt, and I'm bringing my ribs and my hips towards each other.
Head doesn't move. It's that small movement. Anybody who wants to try it now, you can actually bring that the ribs to hips and stay there for the whole 20 seconds rather than releasing.
Because you've done it for 2 weeks. Now you can try that. Second one is back to side plank. Again, you could go here. We have been doing it like this, but as long as you don't stick your bum out. And then we've got scissors, which could be one leg here, but I think most of you actually will be here. And it's not this movement, it's the hip movement. Or you could have straight legs, or you could be lifting. You could do that bit as fast as you like. Then we do side plank. Then we do ankle taps, which is curling the upper body up, and we do one side, tap, tap.
20 seconds, and then the other side. And then the last bit is
Bringing the knee in and taking it out. In under control. So not swinging, because that's momentum and it's cheating. Okay, let's go. So that's 20 seconds work, 10 seconds rest. Prepare for 9, 8, 7. So first one is that deep abdominal Q. So it's like a U bend. Try U bend and hold for the whole 20 seconds. You'll know about it. So your head and shoulders are on the floor. It's as though somebody's got elastic there, is pulling your ribs down to your hips, and hold it there the whole time. Brilliant. Side plank. You choose. You could have your knee on the floor, most of you will. As long as you're in a straight line, you could be making it more difficult. And from there we're doing scissors, and then we do the other side plank. So get ready on your back for scissors, both legs at tabletop.
if
If your legs are at tabletop and your back's coming off the floor, it's too heavy. Take your knees down one at a time. Otherwise, here. If you're doing it with straight legs like this, have your feet flexed, so you're getting a nice stretch down the hamstring. Other side plank. Brilliant. Ankle taps. You choose one side, then the other side. Because if you're doing one, then the other, then the other, then the other, you tend to swing, and then that's using. Up you go. Assaulted by a dog. So your head and shoulders are off the floor. It's all under control. No swinging allowed. Brilliant. And relax. And then we're going to do the other side. You can put your head on your hand if you want to, but imagine you've got this soft peach under there, so you can't squash it and you can't let it drop. Off you go. Brilliant. And then we're on to our hands and knees. So the knees coming right in and crunching and going out. And again, if you've got your balance, you could bring your elbow to your knee, but it's not about swinging, it's about taking it up and bringing it down. And of course now the other side, and then you get a breather before we do it all again. Really squeezing those abs in every time your knee comes under. Brilliant. So that's round one. We have to do it again. Ten to prepare, 9, 8. The first one is that U bend, which doesn't look a lot, but if you're holding that for 20 seconds, it is. Still breathe, by the way, and smile. Brilliant. Side plank. So because this is the last one, go for it. Try and upgrade whatever you did before. Only 20 seconds, which is probably only about 15 now, or less. Keeping that bum in. Brilliant. Scissors. Try and upgrade your scissors if you can. Okay. This is the one exercise I'll let you do as quick as you can. I know we've got a lot of runners here and cyclists. So it's not about the knee movement. The knee doesn't bend and straighten. It works from the hip. Brilliant. We're nearly through now. Side plank the other side. Abs tight. Stretching the shoulders and opening the chest. Bum tucked in. Brilliant. Ankle taps. One side first, then the other. So your upper body is off the floor, your head and shoulders are off the floor. Reaching down the side to tap your ankle. And rest, and then we have the other side. And looking at the time, once we've done this, all we have to do is stretch off, all the work's done. Lovely. Okay, 2 more. That's 40 seconds work now. And it's in the box position, bringing the knee in and maybe the elbow, if you can balance. Under control. How are you doing? Looking good. Brilliant. 20 seconds work left, and then that's it. Same on the other side. Brilliant, well done. Okay, go into a wide leg child pose. So feet together, knees as wide as is comfortable, arms out in front. And if you keep your arms straight, as in your elbows off the floor, you're also getting a shoulder stretch at the same time. And breathe. Now all these stretches we're going to be holding, so don't overdo it and go, oh, hurry up, can't hold it any longer. Should be comfortable. If you're shaking at all while you're doing these stretches, you're overdoing it. Shouldn't be any shaking at all. If you're shaking when you're working out, I'm saying well done. You're nearly at fatigue. Keep going. Okay, now we're just going to stretch those hip flexors. So come up into a box pose, which isn't here. It's shoulders down and back. And now we're going to do cow stretch, neutral spine, cat stretch. Neutral spine, cow stretch. We're going to go into down dog. Curl the toes under. Take all the weight back over your heels, which stretches your shoulders. Now straighten your legs as best you can. If you can't get them straight, you're not alone. And prance through the feet. So you push one heel to the floor, other heel to the floor, but you imagine somebody's pushing in between your shoulder blades. So in other words, all the weight is back towards your knees. Now we've got to do this really carefully because I know there's some bad backs amongst you. You can come forward and put your knees down and then lower down to the floor and do a mini cobra here. This is mini cobra. Or those of you who aren't in any pain, you could come forward and drop the hips so you're getting a big cobra or somewhere in between. But you certainly are not hurting yourself because you're here for a while. And you don't want your shoulders up around your ears because that's just another way of kind of cheating your body. If you need your shoulders up around here, instead take your elbows to the floor and take your ears away from your shoulders. Should be nice. Now we're going to fidget back up into down dog again. Best way is to lower the upper body so you're not going to put any pressure on the back. Fidget your way back to box position. Curl the toes under. taking all the weight back, straightening the legs to your best straight, prancing through the feet. We're now going to do a hip flexor stretch, and I know a lot of you will be laughing when you try and get your foot in between your hands, but give it a whirl. Unless you've got a bad back, just fidget. But otherwise, we're going to swing one leg high behind us, swing it through as best you can, plonk it on the floor. Most people really can't do that, so you're in the majority. But otherwise, fidget to here, runner pose. And then bring yourself upright. And then we're going to rock forward and back, forward. We're doing a moving stretch now, notice, not holding it. So we're stretching that hip flexor that we've used loads, stretching the inner thigh, and then as we do this bit, we're stretching the hamstring. And then we're going to hold this one for the hip flexor for a minute, not a minute, literally, a few seconds. And then we're going to hold it here for a few seconds. And then we're going to change legs. And I won't make you go through the down dog unless you want to, but otherwise you could just do this. Or you could do this, up here, plonk, and start there. It's a killer trying to get there. Our legs are too long and our arms aren't long enough. Press forward, rock back. Press forward and rock back. I hope nobody's been eaten by the midges. I haven't. I haven't got much flesh showing either. Shorts, I mean, good effort. And now I'm going to hold it out here in front. And then I'm going to rock back and hold it here. Lifting the toe towards the ceiling, keeping the hips level so I get the stretch all down the hamstring. And come forward, come out a bit into kneeling. We're going to stretch down the side. So notice I'm not going to lean forward at all. Shoulders down and back. I'm just going to stretch over the side. Gently, gently, because we're here for a while. If you overdo it, you couldn't talk properly. So you have to go back a bit. And over to the other side. You should see the sunset there. It's beautiful. And back up. Now this time we're going to lift this arm up as high as you can, but not the shoulder, just the arm. And now take it over, gently, gently, till you've got a mild stretch all down the side. And bring it back up, change sides. This arm, high, and across. And back up, snaking the wrists. Does everybody feel okay? We do go to the pub now to put back all the calories we've just eaten, we've just burned, change direction. And actually it's the narrowboat, I need to tell you, the narrowboat on the way to Whittington, on the side of the road. Shake. Now grip them together, turn them inside out, we just want to stretch the shoulders. Oh, my hands are slippy. So everybody's welcome at the narrowboat. The men love the beer, I love the chips. And relax it down. Now you take your hands behind you. Oh my God, look at the mirror, it's beautiful. And what you're doing now is really opening the chest. and shake it off. We need to come up to standing now. Best way, bring one foot forward, press down on it, press up without making any noise. Silent. And shake it all off. Kick your bum. And bring it into your chest. And then up onto your toes and relax down. Up onto your toes and relax down. Last one, walk around on your toes. Now your calves have shrunk, so walk on your heels to stretch them back off. And you are done. Thank you very much. Thank you. I love that. Look at it. Oh my God. I'm going to have to do it with my back to you next week. Or we'll turn you around so I get the view. You get the sunset.
I'll come to the pub next week. I've got a halloumi
Nice. Nice. Let's turn this off. Anybody got any questions? I should turn all this off.